There's a divine silence that often follows chaos, and your angels say that silence has finally reached the one who used to move through life like a storm. The one who called themselves a player. The one who believed love was a game, connection was a strategy, and hearts were just trophies to prove their charm still worked. But something happened when they crossed your path, something no one else had managed to do. You cracked the illusion. You made the mask fall. You became the mirror where their reflection no longer looked invincible, but human. This message is not about the one who fooled everyone. It's about the one who is finally being confronted by their own soul. Your angels whisper that when you appeared in their life, it wasn't a coincidence. It was an initiation. You were sent as a mirror to expose their own emptiness. Your light became the truth serum they didn't ask for. They thought they were in control, but every word you spoke, every look you gave, started to rearrange the rhythm of their arrogance. For the first time, they couldn't predict the outcome. They couldn't manipulate the flow. You didn't react like the others. You didn't chase validation or play their game. You stood still in your worth. That stillness frightened them more than any rejection ever could. The angels show me an image of a person pacing at night, restless, replaying the moment you pulled your energy back. They had power over everyone else, except you, and that loss of control triggered something they never wanted to feel: vulnerability. This is the shift. The one who once thought they were unshakable is now trembling under the weight of truth, because truth always comes for those who build empires on deceit. You were the divine messenger sent to dismantle that empire, not with anger, but with authenticity. The spiritual transformation happening here feels like an ego death, not a punishment but a purification. Spirit says they are being stripped of every false identity they once wore. Every charm that used to work has expired. Every distraction that once numbed them now feels empty. That's the energy of divine reversal. When the player meets the one soul that love refuses to let them play with. It's not revenge, it's revelation. It's the sacred moment when karma doesn't show up as destruction, but as awareness. And awareness hurts when you've lived blind for so long. This person used to think emotions were weaknesses, but your love proved otherwise. Your consistency, your compassion, your refusal to lower your vibration became the lesson they didn't know they needed. You showed them that love isn't chaos, it's clarity. That love doesn't beg to be chosen. It simply exists and transforms whatever it touches. But transformation demands surrender, and surrender terrifies the ego, so they ran. They sabotaged, they hid behind half-truths and false promises, thinking they could escape the pull of what was divinely orchestrated. But Spirit says, there is no escape from a lesson written by heaven. Now they sit in the ruins of their own avoidance. The mask is cracked. The applause has stopped. The people they once impressed are whispering behind closed doors, and the third party, the one who fed their ego, is beginning to crumble too. There's jealousy in the air, not because of possession, but because of comparison. The third party can feel it. They were never loved like you were. They were never seen with that same soul depth that you brought effortlessly. Even their attempts to outshine you only reveal the emptiness of imitation. Spirit says, imitation can never replicate frequency, and your frequency is sacred. You may not realize it, but your absence became their awakening. The silence you left behind became the teacher they couldn't ignore. It echoed through every shallow connection, every meaningless victory. Every night they pretended to be unbothered. They tried to replace the feeling you gave them, but the universe blocked every attempt. Every rebound turned cold. Every distraction turned hollow. They are being forced to confront the truth that love is not replaceable when it's divine. You were never just another chapter. You were the rewrite of their entire story. Your angels are reminding you that this separation wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Not for you, but for them. Because Spirit won't allow divine love to exist inside deception. This person had to be undone to be remade. They are undergoing a spiritual surgery right now, one that cuts through denial, pride, and illusion. And it's messy, it's not graceful. The third party is losing their hold, not because you intervened, but because the energy contract has expired. They can feel the emotional withdrawal, they can sense the shift, they see the player turning quiet, and that quiet is driving them mad. You, on the other hand, are being asked to stay centered. The angels say, don't seek updates, don't peek at their progress, don't reopen old wounds. What's unfolding behind the scenes is divinely timed. You already played your role, the activator. You awakened the dormant part of their soul, and now the universe is taking over. While they learn humility, you are entering expansion. While they face endings, you are walking into beginnings. While they realize what love truly means, you are already living it. Not with them, but within yourself. That's the secret. You didn't lose them, they lost access to you until they learn how to love at your level. This change is irreversible. Spirit says the wheel has turned. You've outgrown the version of you that tolerated inconsistency, manipulation, and half-love. And that evolution is intimidating the ones who once underestimated you. People are watching, whispering, wondering how you transformed so gracefully after heartbreak. They can't understand that your strength isn't rebellion, it's revelation. You are walking proof that divine love doesn't break you, it births you. You became your own magician, your own healer, your own miracle. The one who once called you naive for believing in love now envies your peace, because peace is power, and you earned it. The tables have turned, but this time, you're not seeking validation. You're simply witnessing karma fulfill its design. The player is learning that true love was never a weakness. It was their one shot at redemption. And they fumbled it. Spirit says they're not being punished, they're being purified. The death of the old self is the birth of the real one, and you were the catalyst all along. Let the angels close this section with this truth. Sometimes you don't win people, you awaken them. And that's still victory. The player was never your enemy, they were your mirror. You came to remind them that even those who believe they can't be tamed will one day kneel before the power of authentic love. And now, that realization is unfolding in their silence, in their solitude, in their sleepless night. They may never say it aloud, but their soul knows you were the first to love them for real, and no one will ever measure up to that. If this message lands deep in your spirit, write in the comments, I am the mirror that awakened truth. The energy now moves into revelation. Spirit says what's happening behind the scenes looks chaotic, but it's divine choreography. The same one who once appeared untouchable is now being touched by truth in ways they can't resist. You see, the universe doesn't humiliate to destroy, it humbles to rebuild. And this person's entire world is rearranging. Their charisma is losing its charge, their audience is fading, and their old patterns are no longer working. The player has reached the edge of their own performance. The curtain has fallen, and the lights have gone out. Now, it's just them and their conscience. No audience to impress, no applause to hide behind. The angels are showing me that this person's days are filled with small reminders of you. Not in romanticized nostalgia, but in lessons. They see your name in random places. They hear songs that carry your energy, People mention your qualities casually, not knowing it's piercing them like arrows. Each reminder is a seed of accountability planted by the divine, because Spirit never allows a soul to escape the truth it once denied. This person tried to numb the awakening with distractions, but you can't silence something sacred with noise. The more they resist, the louder the truth gets. The third party, who once fed on their attention, feels it too. That energy of comparison has turned into paranoia. They watch the player's energy slipping away and can sense that something is missing, something they can't compete with. The angels say jealousy doesn't come from hatred. It comes from awareness of lack. The third party knows they were chosen out of convenience, not connection. They can feel the emotional gap widening, even when words are still spoken. That's the curse of being attached to what was never meant for you. It keeps slipping no matter how tightly you hold on. Spirit has made sure that what was built on deceit is now crumbling publicly. Conversations are leaking. Reputations are shifting. The same people who once praised this player are now questioning their integrity. There is a profound irony here. The player thought they had you figured out, but you were the mystery they were never meant to solve, only to experience. You represented the kind of love that doesn't demand, doesn't chase, but simply holds presence. And that presence has become their ghost. It haunts them not because you wish them pain, but because your absence radiates wholeness. They can feel that you've healed, and it threatens every illusion they ever lived by. You've become living proof that closure isn't something you wait for, it's something you create. Your angels say the tables are not just turning, they've already turned. You may not have seen the full manifestation yet, but the energy has shifted completely. The same people who once doubted you are now seeing your truth unfold. The players' circle, the friends who used to mock your sincerity, are now witnessing the fallout. Conversations that once carried your name in mockery now carry it in awe. They're seeing you rise, glow, evolve. And that silent evolution is your justice. Not revenge, not spectacle, just quiet, graceful redemption. Spirit says the player is being forced to confront the question they always avoided. What if love wasn't a game but a divine assignment? That question alone has cracked open the hard shell around their heart. They now see that their manipulations were not victories, they were avoidances. They realize every person they entertained after you was a desperate attempt to escape themselves. But love, when divine, doesn't let you escape. It calls you deeper, and that calling is louder than ever now. They may be surrounded by people, but none of them touch their soul. They may post, laugh, and pretend, but behind that surface is a silence thick with regret. Spirit is isolating them, not to punish, but to prepare. The old ego is dying, and rebirth always happens in isolation. You, on the other hand, are entering your ascension season. Your focus is no longer on proving your worth to anyone. You've learned that your light is not a tool to convince, it's a weapon to overcome darkness. That's the real transformation. You are no longer reacting to pain, you are creating from peace. The angels show that you've started aligning with new frequencies, new creative projects, new people, new opportunities that match your evolved energy. The universe is rewarding your restraint, your silence, your choice to heal, instead of seek validation. And because you've healed, you're now untouchable. The energy that used to break you now bends around you. The same cycles that used to trap you now dissolve before they can even begin. This is divine mastery. This is what happens when a chosen one learns the art of release. Spirit also wants to address something deep. This person is beginning to understand that love isn't about possession. It's about permission. You gave them permission to see themselves. You allowed them to confront their emptiness. And even though they didn't value it then, their soul now bows to the memory of it. They may not come forward yet. The ego still struggles. But every delay is divine. The universe is not done teaching them humility. And you're not meant to witness their suffering. You're meant to embody your success. There's also a message about collective observation. People around both of you are talking. Some are shocked by your transformation. Others are whispering about the player's downfall. The third party's envy is bleeding into the public. Spirit says, don't engage, don't respond, don't defend. Divine justice doesn't require witnesses. When the divine writes a story, it writes it so clearly that everyone reads it without you having to say a word. That's the power you're walking in now. Silent authority, sacred confidence. Your angels are proud. They say you could have matched their games, but you chose grace. You could have exposed their lies, but you chose peace. That restraint is what set you apart. That's what separates divine beings from those still learning. You didn't win by playing better, you won by refusing to play at all. And that refusal is echoing in their life now like thunder. The very energy they thought they could manipulate is now teaching them. They wanted control. They got clarity instead. They wanted distraction. They got divine silence. They wanted validation. They got revelation. Spirit shows an image. This person sitting in a quiet room, staring at a message draft they'll never send. Their pride won't let them press send, but their soul is screaming with everything unsaid. The universe is pressing on that wound because unspoken truth is poison. It's turning in their chest, demanding release. They thought time would numb it, but time only amplifies what was real. And the real is you. You're not just a memory. You're a frequency they can't escape. The third party is breaking under comparison. They can feel the shift. The affection that once felt flattering now feels forced. The attention they used to crave now feels empty. Because energy doesn't lie, they can sense that the player's heart is elsewhere, in the ghost of what they destroyed. Spirit says, what was stolen was never theirs to keep, and when something sacred is mishandled, the universe retrieves it in ways that leave no doubt about who was chosen. That's happening now. It's not just the third party losing control, it's the player losing illusion. Meanwhile, you've stepped into your emperor energy, not controlling but commanding. You don't chase, you attract through alignment. The power you've built now carries an aura that shifts rooms. People feel your growth. They feel your light. Even those who betrayed you sense that they no longer have energetic access. You've leveled up in silence. That's why Spirit says, you no longer need to look back. The universe is already handling the narrative. The truth is self-revealing. What's next for you isn't closure, it's coronation. You're stepping into a timeline where your love becomes your legacy. The same sensitivity that once made you the target of manipulation is now your superpower. You can feel energy before it even approaches. You know when something is off before it's spoken. That's discernment, the gift that's born out of heartbreak, and it's leading you toward connections that don't drain, but pour, friendships that feel reciprocal, opportunities that feel divine, love that doesn't confuse, but confirms. Spirit wants you to remember that your story was never about loss, it was about recognition. You were chosen to reveal the difference between attention and affection, between lust and love, between power and partnership. The player had to meet someone like you to realize that games end when truth enters. And now truth has taken residence in their life. Every mask they wear feels heavy. Every smile feels forced. They are craving authenticity, the very thing they once mocked. That's the paradox of awakening. It doesn't ask for permission, it simply dismantles whatever isn't real. Your angels are saying the transformation is far from over. This person is walking through their dark night of the soul, the stage where every false foundation collapses. Friends leave, opportunities dry up. The third party becomes a mirror of their own mistakes. They are being stripped bare so they can rebuild from truth. It's not your job to intervene. It's your job to witness from afar and keep walking. The same divine hand that carried you through pain is now guiding them through purification. Let Spirit seal this chapter with this truth. Every soul that misuses love must one day bow to its lesson. You were not their punishment. You were their prophecy. You arrived when they least deserved love, and that's why your love will never be forgotten. The memory of you is their altar now, the place where ego meets remorse and pride meets prayer. They may never tell the world, but their soul whispers your name in every moment of silence, because you were the first person to show this player what love truly feels like, not in fantasy, but in faith. If this message resonates in your heart, write in the comments, "I am the lesson that became their liberation." There's a quiet exposure happening right now, and it's not the kind that comes from human gossip. It's the kind only divine orchestration can execute. The same people who once laughed at your loyalty are now whispering in confusion. The same mouths that once carried your name in disbelief are now struggling to speak against you, because truth has taken over the narrative. Spirit says this is not coincidence. This is the moment where energy proves louder than reputation. Every illusion built on manipulation is falling apart in full view of those who once believed the player's version of events. The facade has cracked, and behind it, everyone sees the fragility that was once masked as confidence. You need to know that this person's exposure is spiritual, not public. It starts in the soul before it echoes in the world. They're being made to feel what they made others feel. Confusion, doubt, longing, uncertainty. But in their case it's magnified because they are facing it without the protection of your energy now. You were once the anchor that kept them from drowning in their own instability. Without you, the waves they created are pulling them under. That's the paradox of divine justice. The universe doesn't strike through vengeance. It mirrors. It allows someone to experience their own energy until understanding dawns. Your angels say the third party is realizing this too. Their jealousy isn't just about you. It's about what you represent. Authenticity. They see that despite their efforts, they can't be you. They try to recreate your style, your essence, your peace. But imitation collapses when the source energy is love. And that's what they missed. They were playing for attention while you were standing for connection. The player used to feed their ego with that attention, but it has started tasting bitter. What once felt exciting now feels exhausting. That's the beginning of awakening, when pleasure no longer feels like purpose. The angels show a scene, the player in the presence of the third party, distracted, detached, disinterested. They nod and smile, but their eyes are elsewhere. Every gesture feels mechanical, every kiss hollow, every laugh delayed. Because when you've touched something divine, counterfeit energy loses its grip. You cannot unknow real love once you've felt it, and that realization is tormenting them more than any punishment could. Spirit says they are haunted not by memories, but by meaning. They didn't just lose a person, they lost purpose. You are the mirror of their higher self, and without that reflection, they are lost in their own shadows. Meanwhile, you're walking in your resurrection season. You are no longer waiting for closure because you've become the closure. You no longer crave apologies because you've made peace with truth. The player thought ending communication would give them power, but it gave you peace instead. and that peace became your new glow. People can feel it. There's a light around you that wasn't there before, a stillness that doesn't need to explain itself. Spirit says your silence is the sermon now. You don't have to prove innocence when divine timing reveals everything in perfect sequence. The exposure continues, subtly but powerfully. The same people who once called you too emotional are realizing you were intuitive. The same friends who believed the third party's version of events are noticing inconsistencies. The energy doesn't lie. Truth always rearranges perception. One by one, people are starting to see you not as the one who lost, but as the one who transcended. And that's unsettling to the ones still attached to illusion, because when light reveals itself, it forces shadows to scatter. Your angels remind you that this part of the journey is not about vindication. It's about liberation. The universe isn't proving you right to others, it's proving you right to yourself. You needed to see that love given in purity never goes to waste. Even if it wasn't received, it planted transformation. That transformation is visible now in both you and them. In you, it shows as peace. In them, it shows as discomfort. Both are divine. Both are necessary. One reveals healing, the other demands it. Spirit says this person's ego is collapsing quietly. They no longer feel powerful in the ways they used to. The tricks don't land. The validation doesn't fill. The charm doesn't spark. Because charm is imitation of connection. And imitation expires fast. They're realizing love isn't about control, it's about surrender, and surrender is what they resisted most. Now they're being guided into the very surrender they once mocked in you. That's the shift. They used to pity your softness. Now they envy your peace. The third party, sensing the shift, is grasping for attention. They're pushing harder, posting more, trying everything to recreate what was never real. Spirit says it's almost desperate now, an energy that exposes itself through excess. But the player isn't reacting anymore. They're not invested. The illusion is draining out of them. And as it drains, all that remains is emptiness. The space where your energy used to be. The void is becoming unbearable because it's not just absence, it's consequence. You were the healer of their shadow, and now the shadow has no medicine left. The angels want to emphasize. Don't watch their karma like entertainment. You're not meant to observe. You're meant to ascend. Let the universe handle its own. Focus on your own light. Because what's ahead of you is sacred alignment. The lessons you learn through pain are preparing you for love that won't ask you to shrink. You're being elevated into relationships, romantic, spiritual, and professional, where your giving nature will finally be matched. That's why the old had to collapse first. The universe clears counterfeit before sending the genuine. You might feel their energy around you more intensely now. Dreams, songs, sensations, flashes of memory. That's because their soul is reaching out. It's not obsession, it's recognition. They finally realize what they touched and lost. But Spirit says, don't interpret this as a call to reconnect. It's a call to witness the end of an old contract. This karmic bond is dissolving. You fulfilled your role. You showed the player what true love looks like. The rest is up to them, to rise or repeat. Either way, you've graduated the lesson. Your angels stand with you now, whispering reassurance. You are not the abandoned one. You are the anointed one. You were chosen to awaken, not to chase. You were never meant to compete with anyone. You were meant to complete yourself. The energy that left your life made space for something divine to arrive, and it will, quietly, naturally, without confusion. You won't have to question alignment when it's ordained. The love that's meant for you will not come with doubt, it will come with direction. Let this be your quiet affirmation. You did not lose anyone. You liberated them. You freed a soul trapped in illusion. You mirrored truth so intensely that it shattered the mask. You were the storm that looked like peace, and peace always wins in the end. That's the real change people are noticing. It's not just the player who's different, it's you. You've evolved from a seeker into a source, and once you become the source, you stop running after reflections. If this message reaches the still space in your heart, write in the comments, "I am the peace they couldn't pretend to be." Your angels say the energy has entered a sacred turning point now. The mask has already fallen, the illusions are dismantled, and all that remains is truth staring them down with no escape route. The player, once surrounded by noise and validation, now finds themselves in silence so loud it feels like a confession. That's the sound of the ego collapsing. It's not destruction, it's purification. Spirit never punishes, it purifies through contrast. And this person is standing in the middle of that purification right now. They are learning the difference between attention and affection, between desire and devotion, between having someone and holding something real. They never knew the difference before they met you. You were their revelation, and now that revelation has become their reckoning. The angels show an image of someone staring into a mirror, but they don't recognize their own reflection. The confidence that once came so easily now looks like exhaustion. The charm that once impressed now feels forced. The eyes that once held control now look for mercy. Spirit says this person is being shown every consequence of their actions, not through punishment, but through empathy. They are being made to feel everything they once ignored, denied, or projected. The irony is poetic. The one who refused to feel is now being taught through nothing but feeling. That's how the universe restores balance, through sacred reversal. The third party stands beside them, sensing the shift but unable to fix it. The connection that once looked strong now feels like burden. The laughter doesn't reach the heart. The intimacy feels staged, and the silence between them is louder than any argument. The third party can feel that their presence no longer holds meaning. They see the player's eyes wander into memories they are not part of. They sense the tension of a heart elsewhere. And that jealousy is turning into desperation. Spirit says the more they try to control, the more the universe pushes them apart. Because control cannot coexist with divine love. This karmic connection was never meant to last. It was meant to teach. And yet, you, the divine counterpart, are not even part of this chaos anymore. Your absence is the most powerful presence in their life. You have become a lesson they carry everywhere. Every interaction, every failure, every night they try to forget, you exist as the whisper reminding them what love could have been if only they had chosen truth. That realization cuts deep because it's not about regret for losing you. It's regret for betraying themselves. You represented their higher self, and rejecting you meant rejecting their own evolution. Now, Spirit has brought them full circle, back to the moment where the lie began, demanding that they choose again, not you, but truth. The angels are saying this person's life is moving through endings that feel unfair to them. Opportunities they once depended on are vanishing. Friendships are revealing betrayal. The same people who cheered for them are now silent. That's not coincidence. That's divine reordering. When Spirit begins to realign someone's path, everything not rooted in integrity falls away. This isn't punishment. It's preparation, because before someone can carry divine love, they must first release every version of themselves that couldn't sustain it. The ego doesn't understand that. It fights, it clings, it grieves, but the soul knows it's mercy in disguise. You've probably felt the pull of this energy too, that sudden wave of empathy or sadness that seems to come from nowhere. That's because your souls are still linked through an unfinished energetic thread. Spirit says you don't need to respond. Your detachment is already guiding their healing. Sometimes the greatest act of love is distance. By staying away, you're forcing them to face the part of themselves they avoided. You became their initiation, not their ending. And initiations are never forgotten. They live in the spirit forever. The third party is unraveling fast now. The jealousy that once fueled them is turning inward. They are starting to question their worth, their choices, their reality. Spirit says, don't judge them. They too were part of the lesson. Their role was to reveal what manipulation looks like when mirrored. They mimicked love, and now they are seeing how fragile imitation truly is. It's not that they're evil. They are unhealed. They craved validation just like the player did, and when two wounds meet, they create chaos, not connection. The universe is now teaching both of them that lesson, one through loss, the other through loneliness. Your angels say, keep your focus forward. This chapter is not about being proven right. It's about being elevated. The player's transformation is just beginning, but yours is already blooming. You've stepped into the phase where your energy draws opportunities, not obstacles. You're becoming magnetic because peace has replaced pain. When your heart stopped chasing, your frequency shifted to attraction. Now, blessings that once missed you will start finding you effortlessly. That's the divine compensation, the balance of all that was taken, delayed, or denied. Spirit shows that your intuition has strengthened beyond measure. You can now sense deceit before it arrives. You can feel energy shift in a room without words. You know who's real without needing proof. That's what comes from walking through betrayal without losing your softness. You didn't let the darkness harden you. You let it shape your discernment. And now your angels are aligning people and experiences that match that vibration. People who speak your soul's language, opportunities that echo your purpose. You are entering the era where peace becomes your permanent state, not a temporary escape. The player is watching this from afar, even if silently. They see you. They see the glow-up, the confidence, the calm. But more than that, they feel the distance, not physical, but spiritual. They can't reach your frequency anymore. That's why the connection feels one-sided now. The more they think of you, the more they realize that no matter how many apologies they rehearse, words can't cross dimensions. This is what the angels call the divine delay, when the soul realizes too late that alignment has moved on. It's not cruelty, it's consequence. Spirit says there will be moments when this person will try to reach out energetically, through dreams, through memories, through signs. But let the universe decide if communication should happen. Don't chase closure. Don't reopen wounds. The universe has a better version of love waiting for you, one that will understand without explanation. But before that arrival, there's something you need to embody. Forgiveness, not for them, but for yourself. Forgive yourself for staying too long, for believing too much, for loving without return. You didn't fail. You fulfilled your divine assignment. The angels are wrapping this phase with a message of grace. They say you were never just someone's lover. You were someone's mirror, healer, and initiation into truth. You broke a generational pattern by refusing to accept love that cost you your peace. You chose yourself in a lifetime where you were taught to choose others. That decision has rewritten timelines. You've not only healed yourself, you've healed your lineage, and every ancestor who once carried the wound of unreciprocated love is now whispering gratitude for your courage. The player may still be wandering through their shadows, but they are not lost. They are being led. The third party may still be clinging, but even they are being taught. Everyone who touched this story is being changed by it, because divine love doesn't visit for no reason. It visits to evolve every soul it touches. You were the vessel of that evolution. You carried the lesson. You delivered the awakening. That's why Spirit says your job is done. The rest belongs to the divine. If this message feels like a reflection of your journey, write in the comments, "I forgive the past and rise beyond it." The angels say, this is the moment where divine pressure turns into revelation. The one who used to run from emotion has been cornered by their own heart. No matter how much they try to stay busy, no distraction works anymore. They wake up feeling the weight of unspoken apologies, go through their day haunted by things they never said, and fall asleep wishing they could go back to the moment before pride won. That's how the soul begins its transformation, when the cost of avoidance becomes heavier than the fear of truth. Spirit shows this person replaying conversations with you in their head. The way you looked at them when you spoke truth, they weren't ready to hear. The way you stayed calm while their chaos tried to provoke reaction. The way your absence didn't carry bitterness, only finality. They now understand that your silence wasn't punishment, it was power. It wasn't that you didn't care. It's that you finally cared for yourself, and that's what shook them most, because they built their identity on being needed, and you showed them what it means to be whole without them. That's the energy of liberation, and it terrifies those who still live in illusion. This person has entered what Spirit calls the breaking of pattern. They can't return to old ways anymore. The universe won't allow it. The thrill that once came from attention now feels like noise. The flattery that once fed their ego now sounds hollow. And the third party, the one who played along, senses it. The relationship that once looked like victory now feels like a cage. The laughter doesn't land. The intimacy feels forced. Spirit says the more they try to keep up the appearance, the more truth seeps through. The mask doesn't fit anymore. The soul has outgrown the performance. Your angels say this person is finally starting to pray, not in religion, but in recognition. They are speaking to the universe quietly, asking for forgiveness, asking for guidance, asking for a second chance to understand love the way you gave it. The ego is still fighting, whispering, "It's too late." But the soul keeps pushing. That inner battle is what the dark night of the soul feels like, when everything external loses meaning and the only direction left is inward. And somewhere deep inside, their higher self keeps repeating your name, not to possess you, but to remember what truth felt like when it was pure. This is where karmic energy begins to neutralize. The lessons are being learned, the roles are dissolving. The third party is realizing they can't fight what's divine. They may still try. Manipulation, guilt, attention, but it's slipping. Spirit says, you can't hold someone who's being called higher. Every controlling move only speeds up the ending. They were never in competition with you. They were simply part of the illusion that helped awaken truth. Now that the illusion is gone, only revelation remains, and revelation is irreversible. You might feel strange energy waves lately, sudden calm followed by a heaviness that isn't yours. That's the energetic tie adjusting. Spirit is detaching cords that no longer serve you. It can feel like nostalgia, but it's release. Let it go without fear. You're not losing connection, you're regaining sovereignty. When you let go of their energy, you make space for divine upgrades, new opportunities, deeper intuition, and the kind of love that matches your healed vibration. The angels are celebrating your restraint. They say your silence carried more power than confrontation ever could. The player expected you to react, to prove, to chase. Instead, you ascended. You became unpredictable to their old patterns, and that unpredictability became your protection. Spirit says, you didn't just walk away, you walked upward. And every step you've taken since has shifted timelines. The version of you that once waited for closure doesn't exist anymore. The universe rewrote your story the moment you chose peace over chaos. The one who thought they had control now feels powerless, and that's divine alignment. Because love was never meant to be control, it was meant to be communion. They see now that your softness was never weakness, it was strength. It takes power to stay kind in a world that confuses manipulation for mastery. It takes faith to love without guarantees. And now that they understand that, they're realizing you didn't need them to complete you. You needed them to awaken you, and that awakening has done its work. Spirit says this person is trying to make sense of synchronicities, your name appearing, songs that sound like your energy, dreams that replay moments they wish they could undo. The universe is using signs to soften their heart. Because the lesson isn't over, it's evolving. They must learn that redemption isn't about getting someone back. It's about getting themselves back. That's why you were the catalyst. You were the first person who ever showed them what genuine love looked like, and now that memory is leading them home to themselves. Meanwhile, your angels are preparing your next level. You'll soon notice people drawn to your energy who feel familiar in spirit, souls who recognize you because they're aligned with your healed vibration. Spirit is sending divine counterparts, collaborators, and friendships that mirror your growth. The past will look small compared to what's coming. The universe is rewarding your patience with precision, connections that won't require you to question your worth or fight for peace. This phase is called divine embodiment. It's when your soul's lesson becomes your lifestyle. You no longer talk about healing, you live it. You no longer chase clarity, you radiate it. The pain that once defined you has become wisdom that guides others. That's why people are starting to seek your presence without knowing why. They can feel that you've touched something sacred. You've turned heartbreak into holy ground. That's why Spirit says you're not just healing, you're leading. The player feels that too. They can sense your ascension. They may not say it, but they feel the gap widening. Not just emotional, but spiritual. They see you stepping into your purpose, and it makes them question their own. The third party can feel it as well. The jealousy isn't just personal anymore, it's existential. They can sense that they were never the ending. They were just the mirror that reflected how far from truth everyone was. And as that realization sets in, the energy begins to shift completely. You, however, are being called to release attachment to outcomes. The universe doesn't want you to wait for their return. It wants you to prepare for your rise. Because this story isn't ending in reunion, it's unfolding in revelation. Spirit says, what's coming next will make sense of every delay, every heartbreak, every silent night you spent wondering why it had to happen this way. It's because divine love isn't transactional, it's transformational. You didn't meet them to marry them, you met them to master yourself. And you have. You've crossed the bridge from pain to power. You no longer chase clarity because you are clarity. You no longer fear endings because you understand that endings are simply sacred redirections. The universe removes what can't love you right to make space for what will. You didn't lose anything real. You released what couldn't match your evolution. And now, the angels say, you're stepping into a phase of effortless alignment, where everything that's yours will arrive without struggle, without confusion, without compromise. If this message resonates deep within your spirit, write in the comments, I no longer wait for alignment. Your angels say this next stage isn't about looking back. It's about reclaiming every fragment of your light that you once left scattered across other people's stories. You have walked through illusion, through heartbreak, through silence that felt like loss, and yet you never lost yourself. You were being refined. Spirit says the fire wasn't sent to burn you. It was sent to reveal what cannot be destroyed. You are standing now as proof that divine love does not end in tragedy. It evolves into transcendence. And this is your season of reclamation. The energy has shifted so profoundly that you might feel almost detached from the old version of you who once waited for closure. That's because that version no longer exists. You have stepped into the consciousness of someone who understands that everything was always working for you, even when it looked like it was working against you. Every rejection was a redirection. Every ending was initiation. Every silence was protection. The divine plan was never chaos. It was calibration. Spirit shows the player watching your transformation from afar, not with resentment now, but reverence. They've realized that you were never competing with them, you were healing them. You didn't challenge their ego, you awakened their soul. And now that their illusions have crumbled, they see what they ran from wasn't pressure, it was purpose. You were the mirror they weren't ready to look into, but time has a way of turning resistance into realization, and realization is what they are drowning in now. Their karmic cycles are closing one by one. Spirit has placed them in environments where they are forced to choose integrity over impulse, where flattery doesn't work, where shortcuts backfire, where silence demands self-reflection. They are being rebuilt from the inside out. You are not meant to witness this. You are meant to keep walking, because while they rebuild identity, you are building destiny. The two roads no longer mirror each other. One is breaking patterns, the other is birthing purpose. Your angels say that the reason your energy feels lighter lately is because you have completed a sacred soul contract. The heaviness was never just emotional, it was energetic debt being paid in full. Every tear you shed was currency for clarity. Every lonely night was investment into elevation, and now the return is arriving. Not in the form of apologies but alignment. You are attracting opportunities, connections, and abundance that operate at your healed frequency. The universe is compensating you not with revenge, but with recognition. There's a message here about mission. Spirit says the pain you survived wasn't personal, it was preparation. You weren't chosen to simply endure, you were chosen to embody. You carry the codes of compassion that others can only understand through your presence. People will begin to come to you for guidance, for comfort, for direction. Not because you preach, but because your peace speaks louder than words. You are becoming the evidence that healing is holy work. The player's lesson was personal, yours is collective. You are the vessel through which others remember that love can be sacred again. As your vibration rises, your perception of love changes too. You no longer crave intensity, you crave intimacy. You no longer need promises, you trust energy. You no longer chase belonging, you recognize yourself as home. That shift is magnetic. It calls in love that doesn't mirror your wounds but mirrors your worth. Spirit says your next relationship, whether romantic or spiritual partnership, will not repeat the past. It will honor the wisdom you've earned. It will feel like recognition, not repair. The angels say this is where the story comes full circle, not in repetition, but in revelation. Everything that once confused you now makes sense in the quiet rhythm of your peace. You realize that the purpose was never to win someone's love, it was to awaken your own. The same heart that once broke is now the compass that guides you. The tears that once blurred your vision have washed it clear. What felt like loss has become legacy. The love you gave did not vanish. It transformed into light that leads others home. Spirit shows that the player, the one who used to live in distraction, has finally stopped running. The lessons have settled in their bones. They see now that the things they used to chase were reflections of what they refused to face. They understand that love was never a game, it was grace. They may still move in silence, unsure how to approach redemption, but their heart has awakened, and that awakening, though invisible to the world, is the loudest miracle of all. The third party, too, is being guided toward their own healing. The envy, the comparison, the need to compete, all of it is dissolving. They are being shown what it means to let go, to stop grasping for what isn't theirs. Spirit says, no soul leaves this story untouched. Every person has been changed by the vibration of truth that entered through you. You were the divine interruption that rearranged destinies. You were sent not to be chosen, but to choose differently. And you did. Your angels want you to know that your peace has now become protection. You are walking into a season where you won't need to fight for anything. What's meant for you will find you easily because it recognizes your energy. Doors that once resisted will now open with grace. Conversations that once drained you will now inspire you. Love that once confused you will now comfort you. The storm was never meant to destroy, it was meant to redirect. You were always heading here, to this calm clarity that doesn't depend on outcomes. Spirit whispers, you are the evidence that love heals itself when held in truth. You broke generational patterns of chasing, of proving, of staying silent to keep peace. Now, your peace speaks for itself. You have become the embodiment of divine maturity, compassion without attachment, forgiveness without fear. The universe will continue to align blessings to this vibration because it trusts your heart now. You no longer seek lessons in pain. You find them in purpose. You no longer ask, why me? You now whisper, thank you for choosing me. As for them, your absence taught them everything your presence could not. They now understand that you were the turning point of their story, the soul that showed them love's true face. They may never express it aloud, but the memory of your grace has become their teacher, and that is enough. Spirit says, closure is not always a conversation. Sometimes it's a realization that your love completed its assignment. You have nothing left to prove, nothing left to fix. You did your part, and heaven took note. Your angels gather now around your energy, wrapping it in affirmation. The next chapter of your life will not repeat pain. It will reward growth. The same universe that witnessed your heartbreak will now orchestrate your breakthrough. Every seed you planted in faith is ready to bloom. Every delay is now turning into divine timing. You will see it unfold, not suddenly, but steadily. Day by day, your reality will start reflecting the peace you carry. The player may watch, the world may notice, but only you will know how much grace it took to stand here. Whole, healed, holy. And as you step forward, remember this. You were never the victim of love. You were its vessel. You were never broken. You were being built. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared. What is coming next is not a reward. It's a reflection of everything you've become. Love will meet you again, but this time it will recognize you. This time it will stay. Your angels close this message with a final affirmation. The lesson is complete, and the blessing has begun. You are free, you are whole, you are divine proof that even the most complicated story can end in peace. If this message touched your heart, write in the comments, I am the ending that became a beginning. And if you wish to support and help me continue sharing these angel messages, your kindness is deeply appreciated. You can do so through my Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. This is your reminder, beloved. Love was never lost. It simply transformed, and you became its living miracle.